Cafe Networking Podcast promotes successful business experts. I'm Tom Rusch, connecting people throughout the world from my podcast studio in Brazil. Joining us today from Kansas City, Missouri, is Clint Rusch, CEO of Flow Therapy. Leader, innovator, team builder, problem solver. So Clint, how can a leader build and create trust?
Yeah, Tom, great to be here. Thanks so much. Just real quick, COO of Flow Therapy. I don't want to take Michael's job just yet. Michael's our founder and CEO and a great friend. But to answer your question, how does a leader create trust? How does a leader create trust in their team and their customer and in everything they do? I think it comes down to two really basic things. And they're not hard. I shouldn't say that. They're not complex. They're hard, right? The first one is absolute honesty all the time. Absolute honesty all the time. You have to be completely honest, right? And the second one is the willingness to accept that you're never going to be able to do the first one.
Wow, okay.
And that's it. And if you can do that and you can be candid about that, then you can create trust. If you don't do one of those two, right? If you don't deliver on one of those two things, your people will smell it. Your customers will see it, and they will immediately move past that, right?
So it comes out in your sweat, right? They feel it.
That's it. They feel it. They absolutely feel it, 100%.
But that's the challenge today. Is there's so much fake out there. There's just so much unreal.
Yes,
with artificial intelligence, I'm not even sure what I'm looking at anymore.
Right, and I think there's a part of that like being able to create that authenticity early on, being able to have that really frank and honest conversation with people, lets you build that context of trust and lets you build that foundation. Now, the other thing you have to be able to say is, look, there are going to be times that I'm not going to be actively dishonest, but like I'm going to keep information that I need to have, and then we're going to share it at a later date. And if your team has the understanding that your bias is always to open the door as much as you humanly can, right? Then when the door isn't open all the way, then they trust that it's not open all the way for a good reason.
Well, you're right, because even in today's world, many times there's information that legally we can't share.
Exactly, and that's the point, right? It's those are actually the great opportunities. Because if your team understands that you can't share that information for a legal reason, a regulatory reason, whatever it is, right? And they go, hey, look, I've got trust in this person that if he could share it or if she could share it, they would, right? As soon as they say that now you're winning. Now you're successful, right? The gap is if they go.
That even goes to not only relationships between companies, but certainly the relationship with your client.
100%, man.
With your
100%.
prospect. So there's things that we know about clients that obviously to be trustworthy, we shouldn't share.
Right. Couldn't agree with you more. I think that when you're in that sales process, when you're in that account management part, when you're interacting with any kind of a client, that ability to say, look, let's play as heads up as we possibly can, right? Let's flip over as many cards as we possibly can. But we also have to understand and we have to be open about the fact that we can't flip them all over. Right? I can't, there are certain things I can't tell you. There's certain things you can't tell me. And as long as we can be honest about that fact, then it becomes really easy. The challenge is when we say we're not going to be honest about that fact and we're going to be duplicitous and go, oh, I'm telling you everything except for these cards I have stuffed in my pocket. No, acknowledge you have 2 cards in your pocket and you can't take them out. Right. And the other side of the table goes, that makes sense to me. And now you're operating from an environment of trust because you've acknowledged the areas that you can't have that.
Well, when you're a team builder, and obviously within a team, there's also that sharing and trust mechanism that certain things could or need to be shared with one or other element of a team, but not necessarily everybody.
Absolutely.
Is that catchy?
So I think the thing about that's important is that, again, it comes back to reinforcing the why. Reinforcing the why. If you and I are working on something together, Tom, I don't necessarily need to know every detail of what you're doing. Right. What I have to do is trust that you're going to do it the way we agreed to do it. right? And again, this comes back to like the setting expectations piece, which is, hey, you and I are going to work on this thing together, right? We're going to, I don't know, paint a room, okay? I'm going to trust that you're going to go buy the paint. I'm going to trust that I'm going to go tape off the room.
Right.
Okay, that's what we agree to. Now, I don't care what store you go to. You don't care what color tape I use. Like, none of those things matter. Mm-hmm. But we're both going to deliver the outcome we committed to. And so if I call you and go, hey, man, I'm thinking about going with blue tape instead of green tape. I think blue's a better color and green maybe isn't the right answer. You go, Clint, why are we having this call? Mm-hmm. Like, you're an insane person, man. Just do the thing you committed to, right? And so there's a part of that that really is, if we have that honesty up front, it creates the trust on the back end.
All right, now, too, what you do is your focus on companies, corporations, persons.
So my company, where I'm at today?
Yeah, as a innovator and team builder and problem solver, who's your client?
So the company that I'm with today, Flow Therapy, we provide a really innovative cardiovascular solution for patients with chronic angina, and so it's a really interesting. The therapy we offer is incredibly interesting. It's incredibly effective, but from a business context, what I find so fascinating about it is that it's both a direct-to-consumer business, right, in the sense that we're treating the people who actually have this malady. Mm-hmm. But the other thing is we provide immense value to that patient's physician, to that patient's health system, to that patient's insurer. And so it's a business that has both a B2C and a B2B component, right? Because we're really helping people throughout that entire chain of value. For me, getting to wake up every morning and go, there's going to be a different problem set today because we're going to look at a different part of the business, right? That is one of the most nourishing and like incredibly invigorating things I can imagine, right? Because every day is different. And that is something that is incredibly valuable for me to bring this back.
And that for many people, in a company, in a team, or as a patient, just to understand that every day is going to be different, sometimes a challenge in itself.
Absolutely. But that's the fun challenge. That's the challenge you want, right? And it's the challenge that relies upon trust and relies upon, a cohesive team. And there's no way that we can deliver the value for our patients that we want to deliver, the value for our payer partners that we want to deliver, the value for our physician partners that we want to deliver, if our team isn't operating in a real lockstep way. And so, that requires that incredible trust, that incredible candor, that incredible honesty between our team members, right, to be able to deliver that.
You could put incredible on that, so.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But anyway, Clint, how can our listeners find you?
Yeah, easiest ways to find me are either on LinkedIn or at clintrusch.com. Those are the two best paths to me.
Very good. Well, thanks for being here and sharing, Clint.
Tom, thanks so much. Thanks for having me. Really was great to join you.
Okay, and for our listeners, it's Clint Rusch. It's CLINT, and the last name is RUSCH. RUSCH. You find him at clintrusch.com. clintrusch.com. So don't forget the C. Cafe Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information at focusmi.com. Talk to Tom, talk to the world. Thanks for listening. Until the next time here at Cafe and Networking Podcast.